What's going on, guys? This is Andreas, this is the biomechanic, and today I'm here with Nino and Max. We're Human Fitness, and we're going to show you a really quick exercise. Max is actually going to demonstrate on Nino, so I hope you guys enjoy.
As Andrew had mentioned, we're going to be talking a little bit about posture today. One of the things that you'll see in the gym very often when performing major lifts and even outside of the gym, something as simple as walking or running, is going to be some kyphotic posture where the upper back is going to be rounded, the shoulders are going to be slumped forward. Now, the problem with this is when you're doing any overhead work or squatting or deadlifting and you have these rounded shoulders, it's going to mess you up in the future and you're going to end up hanging out with bod mechanics, spending some serious bucks. The main cue that you'll usually hear when some coach is spotting you during any one of these lifts is arch your back. Now, the problem with that is, come back here, is when people arch, they'll usually go from the bottom of the thoracic spine, the T12, versus the correct place, the T8, which we'll get into in just a few seconds. And what that's going to end up doing is it's going to be pulling you into a lot of extension and eventually could lead into an anterior pelvic tilt, which is a whole other world of problems. So what I'm going to show you right now is how to properly brace your abdominals, and the correct ones, not the rectus abdominis, which you'll usually see people activate during a crunch, but the transverse abdominis, which is going to be that main core muscle. So I'm going to have Nino here show you what it's like to pull or to contract your rectus abdominis, which you'll see in a lot of today's bodybuilders, where they'll hold this pose and squeeze everything downward. That again is the rectus abdominis. So Nino, can you go ahead and just squeeze your rectus abdominis? Okay. And what else would that do if you went a little bit more? Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to keep pulling you into a little bit more thoracic flexion, which is, again, just going to lead to problems. What we're ultimately looking for, and you're going to really have to look close for this one, is what you used to see in more of the golden age of bodybuilding, which is going to be the transverse abdominis or the vacuum, where you're going to take your navel and pull that all the way down towards your spine. Okay, you'll see a little bit of that rib cage exposed. And now there's going to be a second step to this. When you pull your TVA in, depending on how you do it, it might also pull you into a little bit of thoracic flexion. And that's where I'm going to teach you how to use the T8, the thoracic 8, versus the thoracic 12. Okay? So, Nino, can you go ahead and flip over onto your stomach now? Okay. So, another big thing that Andrew will talk to you guys about is the posterior pelvic tilt. I'm sure you hear him saying it all the time. So from here, it's going to be very difficult to see Nino pulling in that TVA, but that's what we're going to start off with. And if you watch here closely, you'll see that as he pulls in his transverse abdominis, he's going to go into a small posterior tilt as well. So Nino, go ahead and pull that TVA in. So you'll see that spine just starting to flatten out, gorgeous line. And now from here, that thoracic 12 is going to be right around here where the ribs begin. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go up a little higher. We're going to go to that thoracic 8. And Nino, while you're holding this, it's going to be very tough, very difficult to breathe. You may want to start with some neutral standing and cueing this before you take it down here. But Nino, can you start to pull your chest up through the thoracic 8 and not down through here? Start to pull that chest up for me. Good. You're not going to see a lot of motion, but you're going to see some serious shaking. And can you tuck the chin a little bit just so that we have that nice line going all the way through? You can tuck your chin a little bit more and keep trying to pull that chest up. And now the hardest part, can you try to breathe? Yeah. So yeah, this one's a really tough one. But again, so you can go ahead and relax. You definitely want to start by doing this just standing, feeling what it's like to pull that transverse abdominis in. You can do it standing lateral to a mirror, so that way you can see what it's like to pull it in. It might pull you into a little flexion, and then again, correcting it by flexing at the top versus flexing at the bottom and pulling into too much extension. And that's just going to lead to a lot better overhead mobility. I'll give you an example. If we're slightly kyphotic, this is going to be my shoulder flexion. I'm going to load that up with 135 pounds and start overhead pressing for reps. Whereas if I just pull my T8 up a little bit, now I have this much shoulder flexion and I'm a lot safer. So yeah, start with neutral standing, take it down to the floor, feel what it's like to get a T8 extension with your transverse abdominis on, and stay safe and enjoy lifting.